Hey guys, welcome to the Maple Mafia YouTube channel. Also, welcome to those joining us on our Facebook group, Mr. Maple Friends. We throw a live feed in there as well. Guys, we like to go live on Fridays and talk about our Maple Mafia on eBay. So I got Sean here with me today. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the crazy trees we've got going off on eBay. You guys have loved this, so we keep doing it. I mean, we keep kind of finding excuses to find more stock plants, rare things we don't want to get rid of, and get them out to you guys. So we've got some killer plants lined up today for you.
So let's jump right in. Today, going off at 4 o'clock today, we have Acer palmatum mikazuki, the variegated crescent moon Japanese maple in a 6-gallon.
Yeah, that's a big boy, too. Those are nice-looking plants. I think you're really going to like this one. It's a Buchholz grown plant. Buchholz introduction as well. Great size on this one. I mean, this one, you know, if you're looking for something with a little instant gratification, you can grab this one for some instant gratification.
Yeah, Mikazuki translates as crescent moon. This is killer. It leaves out early in the spring with that bright pink leaf, and then that deep red purple. You know, just an incredible, incredible tree.
I think you're going to love that one. That one's got just a little bit longer today. Now, we've set this up so that when we go live, a lot of the trees are going to be ending today after the live. We're going to have at least 10 ending today. I think 10 to 11 are also going to be ending on Sunday evening. So around the time of the podcast, there'll actually be new things listing after the live today as well. So stick around. Go check out our eBay, Maple Mafia on eBay after that. You'll find new items that aren't previously on there. Kind of a fun way to break it up, though, so that the live's more relevant to what's new.
Absolutely. And, you know, with this Mikazuki, check this out. It is a 6-gallon. This thing is a beast and looks incredible. And then right after that, coming off at 4:15 today, we have Acer plantanoides, plum density, a rare Norway maple in a 1-gallon XL.
Great color on this one. I love that kind of weird plum color it gets. Different than halata. I had somebody message me this week asking about if it was the same as halata. We're growing halata too, which is a lot of fun. But you're gonna plum density completely different though. The guys, this one, it's a different shade, so don't be afraid to get both those. They are both rare plantanoides that have, you know, more color change than normal. I mean, normally plantanoides are pretty green. You can get into the Crimson Kings and some of the more basics that have red color. Plum density, though, brings it for an off, like, lavender shade.
And then coming off at 4:30 today, we have Acer macrophyllum mocha rose, the big tooth Japanese maple in a 1-gallon.
Oh, great plant as well, y'all. That one, another Talon Buchholz introduction, mocha rose. That's that big tooth maple. Some of the biggest growing maples on the planet. Now, mocha rose does make it much smaller, so it's not going to get as big as the species here. Does great in the Pacific Northwest. If that's a native you'll see up there, just like Acer circinatum growing natively. This is one that Talon found that has incredible pink new growth, incredible color changes to it. Just a great overall plant. And then the colors, I mean, it is as showy as anything you'll ever find.
Yeah, those mocha colors that kind of turns to that bronzing color, incredible. But keep in mind, this is one that is going to be a zone 6 to 8, where a lot of, you know, the Japanese maples are 5, start at that zone 5, but this is a zone 6. And moving right along, coming off today at 4:45, we have Acer palmatum Hubble Super Cork, the pine bark Japanese maple in a 7-gallon.
Oh, those are nice too. Also Buchholz grown, guys, so some real premium plants here. This one, you know, you saw us interview Scott Hubble, our buddy Scott Hubble. Scott and Keith Johansson were watching this one for a while. Scott's a huge bonsai expert. Our friend at Metro Maples. We did a podcast with him. We've done some walk-arounds of Metro. This is one that Scott named that I think is one of the best corking Japanese maples you can grow. It sounds worse than the best corking, but it gets the cork bark really early on this one, and it develops it well. You can plant this on the ground. It is grafted, but you can plant this one and then do bonsai material from it. So you can do rooted cuttings or air layers from it. But man, it develops it at a very young age. I mean, even in a 1-gallon, you can start to get some bark interest on this one, which is great because a lot of those cork bark types, they take a while to get real corky for you.
Yeah, and it gives you that older tree look at a much earlier age. And then moving right along at 5 o'clock today, that's coming off, we have Acer palmatum snow kitten, the variegated dwarf Japanese maple, the one that everyone's trying to get their hands on.
Right. Go check out. I did a breakdown on this from the Buchholz farm. I just aired last week. I think you're going to love it. We will show you some of those big boy, giant, old snow kittens, some of the biggest ones in existence. Great plant. Talk about the naming and everything there with Elmer to Makawa Nishiki to Yamayuki, Yukiyama. I do feel that Snow Kitten is the most accurate name. I always try to give, the correct name and homage to the people who named it. A lot of nurserymen put in a lot of work on this stuff, so I'm always kind of representing the nurseryman there. Whoever came up with the name first and had the rights to it, I always try to follow that, and that's how I feel about Snow Kitten. It does become the original name. Crazy plant. You know this one. 2 to 3 feet in 10 years, guys. Compact, dense. Some of the most intense variegation you'll ever find. A lot of you guys have been asking for this in low grafts, and that's what we got here. We got a nice low graft, prominently variegated, not overpushed with fertilizers. Great looking plant.
And then coming off at 5:15 today, we have Acer pseudoplatanus. How do you say it? Nitezii.
that was tricking. I've always said Nazetti. I don't know, man. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Another rare plant. You don't see this one very frequently. It's in that Esk Sunset kind of vein. It's a sycamore maple. It's got that big leaf like Esk Sunset. That's probably the sycamore maple people are most familiar with. Nazetti, another variegated one, brings it with kind of that pink color in the spring. Really showy, though. I mean, it's not only going to be pink on the other side of the leaf. You can get some real cool shades of pink on top.
What's nice about this one is that you can grow this in sun or shade. And this one we have listed all the way down to a zone 4. So this is one that, you can get into some of those colder places. Oh,
great plant. And then coming in at 5:30, we've got Acer teninifolium. That's a rare maple species. Some people put teninifolium in Shirasawatum. The true dendrologists, like if you talk to some of the experts, they give it its own species classification typically.
Yeah, this one's going to have slightly more serrated leaves than the I'm having trouble today. Shirasawatum. But, just a great tree. And this is grafted to the palmatum rootstock as well.
Yeah, so it's in that same family. It's as closely related to palmatum as things like Shirasawatum and Japonicum. A little bit more cold tolerant we find on teninifolium. Just a great plant, typically around 8 to 10 foot in 10 years. Very cold tolerant. I do recommend in your hotter zone some late day shade typically on it because it is in that full moon category. Great plant though, and one that we need more cultivar selections of. I mean, I think it's an uncapitalized group. Douglas Justice is one of the plant breeders I was thinking about, not plant breeders, but plant specialists I was thinking about earlier. He's one of the top academic guys in the section of Acer. And he loves teninifolium. That's one of his categories he likes to talk about pretty frequently.
Yeah, the Indiana Jones of
right. I think you deemed him that. Yeah, I think you were the one that come up with that class. He did like that. Perfect TV dad, right? I think that was me and you talk about it when I visited him in Canada last year, and me and Sean are like, he's like the perfect 90s sitcom TV dad. Good-looking dude, charming, funny, knowledgeable, real quirky about one topic. He's like the perfect TV dad.
So coming out of the bids today at 5:45, we have Acer palmatum Bazinga from the Makawa family in a 1 gallon.
Bazinga, guys, that one, that one. Bazinga, interesting note, this actually originated at the Buckholz farm, was sold to my friend Pat Marone, and he actually ended up selling the tree to Ed Shin, who put the name Bazinga on it eventually. Ed had a whole series, I think 1 through 4 of best red Makawas, and he's been evaluating those for a long time. And this was Ed's best red Makawa. Just an absolute beautiful plant. I've got a really nice size one in our display garden at my parents' house. I love it. Gorgeous plant. It's one that everybody talks about. Funny name, obviously got the Sheldon Cooper vibes there from Big Bang Theory with the Bazinga being his catchphrase, but just a good plant. 5 through 9. It can handle a good bit of sun. I find that if you have this one in the ground, you tend to get better color on it in the ground than you do in a container, I find.
Yeah, you get those intense oranges out of it. Great tree. And then, here's another one coming off today at 6. We have Ulam. How do you say that, man? I'm killing it today.
I say ulmus.
Ulmus.
Yeah, I mean, again, my Latin. I didn't graduate with a degree in horticulture, but I say ulmus.
Ulmus Jacqueline Hillier. It's a dwarf pre-bonsai lace bark elm. And this one's interested because this is a rooted cutting. And how often do we ever sell rooted cuttings?
Yeah, great way to do lace bark elms. This one is very popular for bonsai. So rooted cutting's a great way to start that one. It's got some vigor to it, but it doesn't get too big. This one really is peak, though, for that small foliage. Just real showy overall plant. Classic. If you know bonsai, Jacqueline Hillier's once been used for bonsai for a long time.
Yeah, and it being a dwarf, you're looking at 4 foot by 4 foot in 10 years, so it doesn't get big at all. And then coming in at so our last bid coming off today is at $615, and we're looking at red flamingo, the variegated snake bark, in a 1 gallon.
Another one I think could go by 2 names. I always try to go by the earliest one I've seen and who I think is accurate. I do think this could be the same plant as Esk flamingo. I'm not sure, but I did see it in Europe as red flamingo. That's what I was told to go with. And it does originate from Holland. But I do think it's very similar to, if not the same as Esk flamingo. Hoofdman Nurseries found that in Holland. So these are going to work zones 5 through 9. Great snake bark. Underrated. We did a cultivar breakdown on this one a few weeks back, too, when we had a big set of these. They did sell out, so we found one extra one to throw on here on eBay. But, guys, this one is a variegated snake bark. So not only do you get the incredible bark that has that striated, reticulated look to it, you also get that variegation going on. It's going to be a green on white for most of the spring and summer. My favorite time for this one is in the fall because it's not uncommon for it to be pink foliage with that big snake bark foliage with bright red, it's more of an overall leaf of bright red with pink accents where the variegation is. So really just next level on the color.
So that's what's coming off of eBay today. But remember, as these are coming off, so just like that last one comes off at $615, a new one is coming on for the next week.
Well, let's get into Sunday's listings. Hey, guys, don't forget, we might go over it at the end, but we also have Flash Sale Friday today, so go check that out on MrMaple.com, our Maple Mafia channel. We've been playing around with going live more, just giving you guys more behind the scenes. We were unloading a Buckholz truck the other day, so we went live there. Feel free to follow this channel as well. So if you're hearing this on Facebook, every time we go live on the Maple Mafia channel, it doesn't always connect unless we're in the office. Make sure to sub to that channel, the Maple Mafia on YouTube, because we might just drop in here and go live from different gardens around the world at different times. So make sure to follow us there.
So on Sunday at 6 o'clock, the first tree to come off is Acer Palmatum Marmalade, the yellow Japanese maple in a 1 gallon.
This one is one of the most hyped ones. I mean, everybody's been waiting on this one. We did have it on a 10 at 10 recently, and they did sell out. Again, we kind of mine the fences for that. We go back through and we say, what do we still have left? So that's kind of the kind of stuff we can throw on eBay for you guys. This is a Talon Buckholz introduction that's got all the hype for good reason. This is a seedling found under Orange Dream there at the Flora Wonder Farm. And, guys, this one, it's worth the hype. Like, this one's worth the hype. The colors are nuts. Absolutely love that insane orange it gets. It really just emanates color. Like, we did this in our top 5 most outrageous trees at Buckholz last spring, and I believe Tim sent in a section of them, and it just glows. It just absolutely glows. Starts out orange, but I actually like it a little later into the spring when you've got that yellow eye getting bigger and bigger, and it's like orange and yellow. I mean, get out the sunglasses. This thing's nuts.
And then you go back to that vivid orange and red in the fall with it. Incredible, incredible tree. And then moving on to coming off at 6:15 on Sunday, going from the Buckholz farm, going to the Area 51 collection, we have Acer Palmatum Little Joe.
These guys are all right, too. They're not bad. Not bad.
They're pretty nice.
Not bad. I like their collection. So this is one from Dr. Kronetsky down in Chapel Hill, good friend of Mr. Maple and customer for many years. Incredible magnolia breeder. Interesting doctor. Mark Weatherden took us down there several years ago, and he said, there's 2 different places I got to take you. And he took us to visit Dr. Kronetsky, and we rode around in golf carts at his place and looked at his magnolia breeding and just amazing work he was doing. And we went over to Dr. Charlie Keith's place, and that's the day we collected the seeds for Hot Blonde. So really cool connections there. And Flying Daggers. Acer Poopy Palmatum Flying Daggers came from that collection trip as well. But just a great guy, Dr. Kronetsky. This tree, Little Joe, is a witch's broom on a green palmatum that he named for his brother Joe. Compact, dense. But, guys, don't let this one fool you. There's a lot of brooms out there. This one really stands out. I really like the border it has in the spring. I really like how colorful the new growth is. You can get some bronzing over top of this. It's almost like pink new growth in the summer. Oh, man, it really is a showy compact dwarf. I think it's a next-level new broom. You really won't see this one anywhere else but Mr. Maple so far.
And then coming off at 6:30, I heard someone in the office the other day ask, they said, Acer long pipes. And I had to laugh. Acer, but it's a Acer Longipies gold coin, the golden yellow maple in a 1 gallon.
Oh, another great plant. Now this one, like we always joke that dendrologists got to eat too. They change the nomenclature continuously. I think they're actually trying to call this one Acer amplum now in Europe. Acer Longipies, whichever you call it by. The original name, this was found at Esveld Plantinium there by our friend Cor Van Gelderen. Go check out that recent podcast if you really want to get maple geeky. Matt and Tim, when we go to geek out, we go to Cor Van Gelderen. That's our superhero. So go check out that podcast with Cor Van Gelderen of Esveld. He's just one of my favorite maple knowledgeable people on the planet. And his nursery came up with gold coin, originally listed as Acer Longipies. We always try to leave that original nomenclature in there because we don't want market confusion. Because how many Ariums are there? So let's just start changing the species around an Arium and see how many you have to buy, right? Because that's terrible. Acer Longipies, though, or Acer amplum, both are acceptable for this one. Zones 5 through 8. Guys, one of the most crazy yellows. I mean, this thing in the spring can be metallic-y yellow. It is nuts. Give it some sun to kind of maximize that bleached out, just star effect it has. Some late-day shade will actually hold that color later in the season. But this was a champion for us here in the South. Grafted onto truncatum, too, so very durable.
And then coming off 15 minutes later at 6:45, we have Acer Japonicum Abby's Weeping Dwarf Full Moon Japanese Maple in a 1 gallon.
You'll be weeping, too, if you miss this one. Trying to make the Tim jokes for you. Love it, guys. Abby's Weeping, great fall color Japonicum. I mean, there's no bad fall color Japonicums. I mean, if you ever saw a Japonicum, I was like, I bet the fall color's terrible on that. I mean, they're all crazy. Japonicums bring it in the fall. Abby's a little more rare of the Japonicums. You don't see it as frequently. Great shades. I mean, I've had this one be almost purplish color because of all the yellow and orange it had at the same time and red, that the overall shade almost comes off like a fall purple with yellow. Absolutely next level color. Smaller one, so it looks great in a container. Typically more of that 2 to 3 foot kind of height range. Weeping, though, looks great in a big pot.
And you do want to give this one protection from the hot afternoon sun. And then moving on at 7 o'clock coming off, we have Acer Palmatum Millstone Pinky, the rare Japanese maple in a 1 gallon XL.
We got to get some better pictures of this one in spring, not to be confused with Talon Buchholz's Pinky. This is Millstone Pinky. We did make sure that Millstone stayed in there. We're doing a whole Millstone series from Paul Lowe. Our friend Paul Lowe has named many great plants. Probably his most famous accomplishment is Sherwood Elfin. That's one that's kind of hit the trade and all over the world. Talon been growing that one since the 90s. Paul Lowe was an apprentice to Harold Johnston, so he's been in that Alabama area growing trees for a long time, and he comes up with some great plants. I mean, he's got heat-tolerant plants. We're working on a whole series. There'll be the All Good series and the Millstone series, both from Millstone, from Paul Lowe. Old homestead down there in Alabama, and that guy just has an eye for growing great heat-tolerant plants. Pinky is one of those spring interest trees with high-intensity neon pink colorations to it. It can rival things like Phoenix for its neon pink. It's almost more of a soft pink. I absolutely love the color on this one. I think it's going to be a fan favorite, but also one that gets really popular for bonsais. People kind of start to see how it blends in with things like DeSojo. One of those spring interests where the springs of flower. We talk about that a lot on our channel, where the springs kind of, the foliage is the flower on the plant. But yeah, you're going to love this one. It almost feels like it's blooming in the spring, like the whole plant.
And then coming off at 7:15, we have Acer Palmatum Anticipation, a red lace leaf Japanese maple in a 1 gallon XL.
This is one by the late, great Mike Francis. He always called it anticipation, so it's very late to leaf, too. So it leaves out very late. It's that anticipation of spring. Kind of keeps you waiting. I guess it's like my wife. Sometimes you got to keep waiting for a minute, right? But it's beautiful when it shows up.
That's right.
Zone 5 through 9, typically around 5 to 6 foot in that 10-year span. Really nice texture to it as well. So it's a unique texture. I think adds a lot.
And that, that late spring emergence, that's great for if you live in some place you'll have some frost and stuff like that you can get, wait a little bit for it, that it takes longer for it to leaf out, that you got some protection. Something
we get here in Western North Carolina, it seems like every year is that late frost. So those late to leaf plants, I mean, really it's an underrated quality. Think of late to leaf as more cold tolerant, right? I mean, that really is a big factor, because if it leaves out later on that spectrum, typically about 3 to 4 weeks where the maples are leafing out, those last trees to leaf out, they always look great because they didn't get hit with any of our early frost. They're really nice for those zone 5s or mountaintops where you're getting, cold spells later into the spring, later to leaf, always a good factor.
And then coming off at 7:30, we have Acer Palmatum Rubin, the pink Japanese maple in a 1 gallon XL.
Another one by Cor Van Gelderen of Esveld Plantinium, named for his son Reuben. One of my favorite sandwiches as well. Good plant, good tree, good sandwich. Kind of ready for lunch now. I kind of skipped lunch. I need Reuben sounds pretty good. This one, I love pairing it with Kristen Star. It's a mid-sized, smaller tree. It's not weeping, but it's very multi-stem, so it kind of sprawls out in all directions. I bet you the offspring of this could yield you like an insane Ryusen style. You get a Ryusen X Reuben, I think you've hit the jackpot there. I love this one though. It's coral pink. It's unique shape though. Really is what makes this one so special. It's multi-stemmed, low to the ground. I've had people get this one and they kind of underrated it, and then you talk to those same people 7-8 years later, and like, this is my favorite tree in my collection.
I like it because it's a shrub-like, and you can use this in place of other types of shrubs in your landscape. And a lot of times someone just throws in a boring boxwood or something like that, and you can get something exciting here and fit them into the same types of spots.
Oh, great plant, super next level, really. I mean, that's a great one for a container garden as well. I talk a lot about container gardening, but really anywhere you want something smaller, I think it's more unique than something like Corallinum. I mean, there's some things that have spring splashes like this. I put this one on par with stuff like Mila. I mean, that's high praise from me. I think Reuben, it's another one of those European selections that's not out there enough. We keep offering it, Mr. Maple. Chance to grab one ahead of the set here from the stock plant set. Absolutely next level.
And then coming off at 7:45, we're bringing you the Golden Trident Maple, the Acer Bugerianum Sunshine in a 1 gallon XL.
Fast grower here. Sunshine was actually, I would say, the most street tree form. So it has a very clean shape to it. It's going to be very upright, very arching in the branches. You don't get a lot of irregular branching going on. Great shade plant for your other maples in your collection because it fills out nicely. 15 foot in 10 years. Really a sharp plant. Why Sunshine gets its name, though, is that neon yellow color in the spring, but also in impeccable form. Like, this one literally could be a street tree, in like a city, because it's durable, it's tough. Tridents are fast growing. They're really pollution resistant. I mean, they're easy plants to grow for a good reason. You go to Japan, you'll see trident maples, a lot of street trees as well. And this one all around does great. Now, don't be afraid of that yellow in some of the hotter zones. It will green up midsummer, but that's actually a good factor for it because it makes it that you can put it in more sunny spots.
And then coming off at 8 o'clock, we have Acer Palmatum Sukasa Dwarf in a 1 gallon.
Another dope one for bonsai. There's some good stuff. We try to add a lot of bonsai stuff for you guys on eBay. I know a lot of you guys are bonsai enthusiasts on there. That's who kept asking us to do more eBay. Sukasa Dwarf from Sukasa Maple Nursery there in Japan. We've talked about them a lot. Famous for Sukasa Silhouette. Sukasa Dwarf being one of their more compact, dense ones. Reminds me a little bit of Kintaro-san. Got a more of a purple border to it. Dwarf, compact, small, upright. It doesn't really shape like Kiyohime, so it's more of a small, upright 4 to 5 foot. Don't think of it as a round ball, but more of a small tree. Really small foliage. I think as this one gets out there, much like Kintaro-san, the bonsai fans are going to be all about Sukasa Dwarf for its potential in the bonsai community.
And I think that's what's great, because normally when you think of dwarf, you think of kind of that small ball, and this being an upright. And that's why going through and pulling pictures for today, you can see up here that picture with the hand behind to show you how those leaves are much smaller than, and compact like that. Great tree. And then coming off at 8:15. So keep in mind at 8 o'clock when that's going off on Sunday, the podcast is going to be kicking up.
Podcast time.
So join us on the Mr. Maple show channel in the podcast in the live chat, and give us a shout. So at 8 o'clock, or coming off at 8:15, about 15 minutes into the podcast, we'll have Acer Palmatum Makawa Cayenne, the golden dwarf Japanese maple.
Yeah, Cayenne means golden. This one's kind of more of a bronze, but I like the color. Give this one a little bit more sun, I find, too. Like many of the other Makawa forms, I find this has better color in the ground. So in my Makawa collection, I have this in an area that gets a good bit of actual late-day sun, not as much morning sun, but I get great colors on these. in the ground with some sunlight. You can get some real interesting bronzing going on though. Real showy. Typically around 5 foot in a 10-year span, that 3 to 5 foot kind of range.
I like that the translation is Makawa gold.
Yeah.
So then normally we're done there. Normally we're at the 10th tree at that 8:15 time, but we've got one more that we're going to
wait, there's more.
There's more. We're adding an extra one on there. We thought we had these come in from the Buckholz farm, and we thought, hey, let's go ahead and throw an extra one on there for you. So at 8:30, we have Acer palmatum X Purple Curl.
Funky plant, guys. This one is one of the funkiest. This is the Parliament Funkadelic of funk when it comes to Japanese maples. It is weird. It's a face only a mother could love. This is a plant only a collector could love. If this was your first Japanese maple, you'd probably be ticked off. Like, this one would not make a great, like, your first ever tree. It is a collector plant. It is irregular in its growth. The shapes are really crazy. It gets this weird style swirling going on the leaf. Another Talon Buckholz introduction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Talon comes up with some crazy stuff. Purple Curl, though, is becoming a fan favorite. Like, we obviously cater to a lot of collectors at our business, and this is one that's getting a lot of attention because it doesn't look like anything else. I mean, it's different.
Well, that red to green with that malted variegation, and this is one that I've always laughed. Like, so you said, only a mother can love, and the Floral Wonder blog, Talon talks about that this is one that only a mother can love, or since only a collector would truly appreciate. Because this is one that I've seen the one I had sitting there. When I first brought it home, my wife says, you need to go look at your tree. There's something wrong with
right.
it. And that's what it looks like. So that's where Talon gets that only a mother can love it. But it's an excellent tree.
It's one of those ones the horticulturalists tell you need to take more care of sometimes.
But it is a great one. You want to get your hands on it. So check them out. These are Sundays. And again, as these come off, we have new ones going on.
Definitely check that out. It's a good reminder with the podcast. Tell them about the podcast we just shot today. It won't be Sundays, but a little inside information for you guys. You've been asking for it. So earlier today, Sean and Tim and I, we shot 20 Japanese maples that I hate. you guys always say we're too positive. You're like, oh, Matt's a big salesman. He's got a good spin on everything. Well, we're bringing it. We're bringing you some trees that I absolutely hate. These trees stink. They're garbage, and I hate them. You'll have to watch that podcast. Great marketing right there, right? No better marketing than trees I hate. I think you guys will enjoy that, though. It's a fun one coming up. And we got continued 7 days a week content here on the Mr. Maple Show. Don't forget to go check out that Flash Sale Friday, y'all. It's at the top there on Mr. Maple. I won't read them all off, but there's some killer deals in there. Some things heavily discounted, $10 off, $5 off. That's something we do every Friday. It's kind of bringing you a little mini Black Friday every single Friday. If you go to MrMaple.com, you're going to find it there at the very top. Now, make sure you're on the correct place when you go to our eBay. It is the Maple Mafia on eBay. Feel free to check us out there, guys. We're going to be adding just straight fire. A lot of stock plants we don't even want to get rid of, but Tim twists my arm or I twist his arm. You guys wanted it, so we kind of just keep doing it.
Yep, great stuff. So, y'all, we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a great afternoon. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.